You're listening to Startup Stories on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And what a lovely idea it is to listen to startup stories. What we're trying to do is trying to see if we can make you listen to the beating heart of the idea that made people take that leap of faith to put literally their their money when their minds are. And someone who's done that quite nicely and in a place where we sorely need it is Chandrakant Singh. His startup is called LearnX, and yes, it is about learning. We all could learn a little more for sure, and I guess that was the trigger, but let me not prejudge your ideas for LearnX. Chandrakant, thank you very much for joining us.
Sarthak, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure and honor to see you, man.
That's very, very generous of you to say. But tell us the story of LearnX. When did it start? What was the seed that was sown?
It's just been a year. We kind of formed the company and stuff, but if you look at how it impacted our life and why we just did this, it goes back 3 years during the COVID period, right? Where every one of us was massively impacted by staying home, and mental health became a major challenge.
Of course.
And nobody was trying to solve it. And we thought, it's a national problem, it's an international problem, it's a global issue. But then we thought, take a step forward, do something about it.
Sure.
And then we figured it out, and finally, it's been a year. It's been quite a different phase of life, you would say, but it's been going so far so good.
So, since we're living in a world obsessed with labels, if you were to ask you to label LearnX, how would you label it?
I think I would say pretty rocketeer. Because in a year you don't speed off so fast, right? We're trying to hit 50,000 teachers in a year. And it's a massive task for us. Sure. And we've done at least 10% of it today. So around 10,000 approximately, we're reaching 10 to 20%. So I would call it a rocketeer startup for us. And that's why we compare it to SpaceX, LearnX and SpaceX.
You were, of course, basking in the reflected glory of the corporate world before you decided to take that leap of faith on your own, right?
Absolutely,
yeah?
Absolutely. It's been 22 years now plus for corporates. Yes.
And now with the startup, is it satisfying considering that there's education, there's mental health? These are actually burning issues that we have. Does this also exercise a little bit of pressure on you?
Yeah, it is. I'll probably answer 3 questions in one by one, right?
Please.
The first one is, I treat corporate or enterprise jobs as more of a marriage, right? You like some, if you don't like, you have notice period and you walk away probably from it. But having a startup is like having a baby. It starts with selecting the right partners to work with, and then going through that period of, bringing up a child,
right?
Growing that, and then that's exact challenges you go through, and you come to know what it actually would impact your life only after a few years. It doesn't give you the results you think. It goes through a lot of transformations itself.
Sure.
So that happens. Now, mental health is probably the most misrepresented today. Okay, a lot of us have awareness which is limited, and a lot of us try to learn online about it and try to fix it ourselves.
Sure.
But there is not a kind of a forced approach or a kind of a curriculum approach that is taken through. What we've done is we've designed a curriculum which takes it to the school community, where even the teachers and the parents kind of contribute towards this as an ecosystem, and develop a curriculum furthermore to give it back to the society. So a child which goes through a kind of a different assessment throughout their life. It's sometimes it's good to be not good, sometimes it's good to be perfection.
Sure.
And you're judged at every stage. We're trying to bring that awareness, Sarthak. So we're trying to create that awareness, and that's the first stage. And it takes real amount of effort, trust me. And this is one of the way of doing it, like awareness creation.
For sure.
It's coming to you and you're doing it for us.
There's also, this whole thing about being, the education sector is also a sector that also sees a little bit of cynicism that has crept in, with the kind of horror stories that one has heard about startups, etc. Yeah. So is that a little bit of a bummer for you? I mean, have you had to face, raised eyebrows and furrowed brows? Have you had to do that?
I think you go to any sector now in terms of startup, everywhere it's crowded. Okay, it's not the sector that used to be, and it should be that EdTech is very crowded now.
Sure.
But again, what we're doing is something very unique. It's not something trying to teach students academics.
Sure.
Or not trying to compete in teaching teachers in a different way to teach academics to students.
Right.
What we're doing is kind of making everyone aware that there is an underlying issue in every school, every student, every parent. And none of us has time. Look at the teachers today.
Yeah.
They go back home. They've got kids to take care of. They got their own family.
Sure.
Then they have to prepare for classes. They've got to come back. And the entire focus has always been academics. And look at the parents, they don't have time. And look at the kids, they have all the times just to prepare for exams. So what we've done is kind of stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of bringing that awareness first, making that accessible to people. So you just do like 10 minutes of learning every day. You're not spending like hours on getting a certification.
Sure.
And then you are it's a flip learning. So you put it in a situation where you are asked to react in a particular way.
Sure.
And your reaction could be, say, appropriate, but it may not be the best way to react. And teachers are very sensitive as well, because it's a line that they put in their heart and soul.
Of course.
Like 20-25 years of learning. You can't go and teach teachers. But here's something just to bring it back to them, improve their lifestyle as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's something that he's, of course, very passionate about right now, which he wants to talk about. It's very, very sensitive. So, of course, we would encourage discretion, but it is about self-harm. It is about
Absolutely.
what the kids go through and what leads them to self-harm. And there's a campaign on it as well, is what you were saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's everyone's household story, right? Exams coming up, 12th grade, 10th grade. The entire community is kind of in a fever, right? And it's across Asia, across, I would say, the Asian community itself. I would say across all the regions that I've actually seen it. The parents and the entire household becomes kind of a curfew area, and they take a leave.
Yeah.
One of the parents would definitely take a leave, Sarthak. You would see it, and they would take a leave,
Sure.
and they will prepare the kid for the exam. There are tutors working on them 24/7. The communication devices are taking away. The fun devices are taking away, and so there is hardly a break. And that period is not short. You are disconnected from your
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
It's spread over like 3 to 6 months, literally, I would say, if depending on the pressure that builds up. And when the results are supposed to come out, it's literally a result coming out for the parents as well as for the kids.
Absolutely. I mean, the expectation is all around, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's the area. That's the sensitive area.
That's the
isn't it?
sensitive area.
Yeah.
And when the results are out, the kid has to come back home, right? And if he did not meet the expectation or the timing that the parents,
He or she, absolutely, yeah.
they didn't meet the expectation, they would probably not want to come home
For sure.
without marks. And while we've disconnected all the communications, it leads that to them being isolated, and that is where it starts to provoke that self-harm. And what we're doing with Institute of Mental Health Singapore is bringing a complete awareness campaign, again, Sarthak, which you harped upon and we talk about
Sure.
it. It's awareness is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
10,000 plus schools are a part of this community right now, and we would want everyone to participate. I hope your radio station would also take it forward, but it's
sure.
a campaign around it to make people aware.
CK, tell us, there's of course, the noble ideas which float around, and then there's the prison of the Excel sheet, the the rectangles that need to be filled with numbers. So what's the funding scene like?
Oh, it's crazy right now, with the international global markets in recessions as well.
Yeah.
And the way some of our leaders in startups have done with the finances, it is not looking very good. But the funding is probably, I would say, when you're at a growth stage, is much more required. At an early stage where we are, and funding is not that critical to us.
Right.
It's more of onboarding people, making them believe that there is a concept that works for them,
Sure.
solving their problem, right? There is a problem. A lot of people, first is denial.
Sure.
Okay, I don't believe there is a mental health issue in my home.
Right,
And it could not be identified. And when we go to even government, and we go to any other places, you would also feel, we're doing fantastically well. I'm focused on delivering academic numbers. We're doing well.
Yeah.
But for a change, when we reached out to the Indian government, even Niti Aayog through the AIM mission, Atal Innovation Mission, they completely adopted us. They said we have 10,000 plus schools across geographies.
Right.
And even Manipur, like states, where we feel so remote. School and teachers are there. They've been so excited to be part of this program.
Sure.
And thanks to Niti Aayog and AIM team, and plus then DPS across Delhi Public School,
Right.
Is the first adopters again. And with their help, you actually believe you're solving the problem. So funding, when you see as funding not coming in, you should not get disappointed. If you see your customers acknowledging you, your end customers
Sure.
adopting, signing up for it, and wanting to, money will flow in.
Right.
But don't just think that money is one of the factors to run a startup. Money is probably I would say the last one. They call it that you first onboard people, then you should be able to invoice them, and third is you must be able to collect money from them. So that's how a startup story should play out.
That's how a startup story should play out, and that's what's played out right here on 94.3 Radio 1. The startup story with the wonderful CK Chandrakant Singh from LearnX. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
All pleasure, Sarthak. Look forward to more sessions with you.
Absolutely. LearnX.academy is the website that you might want to go to if you want to check out more about what they do. What we're going to check out is a short little break and then more music coming your way to please the eardrums right here on 94.3 Radio 1. Don't touch that dial.